Hi guys, it's Miss Naughton
and Coach King.
Hey guys, we are starting out. Sorry, I'm going to move this little pencil over. We're starting our new unit on Introduction to Genetics. So get your pen and paper ready. We're going to take lots of great notes, and you need to listen so you can understand the basics of classic genetics.
All right. Gregor Mendel is often called the father of genetics. The reason why is because he did a lot of discoveries in the area of genetics. He studied pea plants, and when he studied those pea plants, he noticed that certain traits moved on to the offspring generation, and certain traits did not. So he did a lot of different experiments to see why that occurred.
While he was doing that experiment, he identified what we call today as dominant and recessive traits. And like Coach King said, he did this by studying the heredity of a pea plant. And I'm going to mark on here so you can see it. Dominant basically means the
strong form of the gene.
The strong form of the gene. And the recessive is the weak form of the gene. So you need to make sure you know that dominant is strong and recessive is weak. And we'll talk more about this in a little bit. All right.
The process in which characteristics or traits are passed from parent to offspring is called heredity. We notice heredity because when we look at ourselves, we notice some features come from my mom and some come from our dad.
Yeah. All right. Now, there's also the scientific study of heredity, or how genes are passed to the offspring. This is called genetics. That's the unit that we're in. So you need to understand that you get genes from mom and dad.
Mom and dad. And you need to understand genetics is the study of heredity, and heredity explains how genes get passed on from parent to offspring.
Oh. We're still at school, so you can hear. All right, sorry about that, but here we go. Hope they found Jaylene. All right.
Traits are an organism's physical characteristics. And the word that we're going to need you to know is the word phenotype. Phenotype is the physical characteristic of an organism, like the nose shape, the eye color, the blood type, eyelash length. And an easy way to remember is that physical starts with PH and phenotype starts with PH. So the phenotype shows the physical characteristics.
All right. These traits are controlled by genes that are passed to us from our parents. Now, I know Connor and Colin, my sons, Connor might mind, but I don't really care. If you look at my boys, Connor and Colin, you can see that this one has blue eyes and this one has green eyes. So these traits were both passed on. Colin, my younger one, got my green eyes from me, and then Connor got my husband's blue eyes from his father. So this is when these traits are controlled from their mom and dad, Mike and I, for my boys.
Human cells contain rod-like structures called chromosomes. And you can see in the picture there, that's what a chromosome looks like.
It kind of looks like an X.
Mm-hmm. And our chromosomes contain our DNA that gets passed on from parent to offspring.
So chromosomes is another word that we're going to need to know. It's a very important word in this unit.
All right, what we have here is a picture of different chromosomes. It shows you the chromosome of a human person. You notice that there are pairs of chromosomes, 2 in each area. We have a total of 46 chromosomes.
I'm going to write that up the top.
46 chromosomes.
46 chromosomes.
And they occur in a total of 23 pairs. What is unique is this one right here down at the bottom. They represent the X and Y chromosome. They are what determine whether you're male or female. This person here is a male because it has one chromosome in the X spot and one chromosome in the Y spot.
So this one's a male.
So this is a male. If it were a female, this would not be here, and there would be two chromosomes over here with the X spot.
So they would have no Y chromosome.
They would have no Y chromosome.
If you have a Y chromosome, you are a male. Okay? Chromosomes are found in the nucleus of a cell. Now remember, we studied the nucleus at the beginning of the year. It's the brain of the cell.
It controls the activities of the cell.
Right, and the chromosomes are found in the nucleus, and they're made up of strands of DNA. And remember, DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. All right? No one's DNA is exact except for
myself and my sister. Since we're identical twins, we have exactly the same DNA.
So if they committed a crime, you would know which one it is.
No.
But
I'd blame it on my sister.
All right. Now, DNA is made up of genes that carry the genetic information that controls our traits. And we're going to show you a picture here of kind of how this
relationship works.
Yes.
All right. We have the nucleus here. Notice it's in the middle of our cell. Inside of the nucleus, you can see several tiny little chromosomes. All right. And if you break a chromosome up and to its individual parts, you can unravel it and you will get strands of DNA. These strands of DNA combine to form our genes.
All right. So this is a good thing to know because this is something we will be asking you to know the breakdown of this process.
As we mentioned earlier, chromosomes exist in pairs, each chromosome having the same genes. Therefore, genes always exist in pairs, and this is known as your genotype. And the easy way to remember, your genotype contains your genes.
So circle that so you know that. Your genotypes are your genes. And we'll explain a little bit in just a minute. Offspring receive one set from the mother and one from the father.
Each offspring will receive a different combination of genes from its parents. Like, for instance, Miss Naughton showed you pictures of our boys earlier. One son has blue eyes, one son has green eyes.
All right, we want to show you this real quick. Let me get this lined up. All right, so if we're talking about genotypes, right? Mm-hmm. Genotypes are really represented with what, Coach King? Letters?
With letters.
With letters. So this is an example. Let's say we're going to use the letter B we're going to look at eye color, which is kind of complex, but we're going to simplify it for you guys. Big B is going to represent the dominant
trait.
Dominant trait.
And remember, dominant means it's the strong form of the gene.
And it is going to represent
brown eyes, since brown eyes are most common.
Okay? And then we're going to use a little b that's going to represent our
recessive trait, or the weaker form of the gene.
Okay, and this is going to represent,
let's say, blue eyes.
Blue eyes. Okay? So, if we have one parent that has a big B and a big B in their gene pair,
then they have two dominant alleles or genes, and therefore the parent will have brown eyes.
Brown eyes. Okay? Let me put this in over here. Okay, the next one.
If the parent has one dominant gene and one recessive gene, the dominant gene will show up and we will still have a parent that has brown eyes. However, they have the gene for blue eyes, but it won't show up. And we'll talk about...
You show that right now?
Yeah.
All right, so let me show you this, okay? Really quick, and we'll get back to this in a second. All right, we'll pretend like this is your dominant gene, okay? Your big B. And this is your
recessive gene, or your little b.
Your little b. So if you have a dominant gene and a recessive gene, like we showed you earlier, the dominant gene will always
cover up or mask the recessive gene.
It's there, but it cannot be seen.
That's correct.
All right, so this takes place when genes are passed on. Depends on your combination of genes. All right, so if you have somebody that has a little b,
then they will have blue eyes. Since they have two recessive genes, the only trait that can show up is the recessive trait. That is the only way to get the recessive trait to show up, is to have no dominant gene in the gene pair.
All right, I hope you, we'll talk about this more in class, but for you to get a basic beginning, this is kind of how it works. And these are genotypes dealing with letters. Physical phenotype would be the actual color of the eyes. All right.
Okay, sexual reproduction results in more diversity due to the large number of gene combinations that may occur. Because there are so many differences among different species, if you have two adults who reproduce, then you're likely to have a large number of differences in their genes. Each member of a gene pair is called an allele. And the picture you see here is a chromosome. An allele is one section of it. So this one actually has two different alleles.
This one and this one. These are your alleles, red and blue on that one. Not really red and blue, but right. It's visual. Alleles are different forms of the same gene. For example, an allele may be 4 dimples, like dimples in your cheeks, or the other allele for no dimples, depending on what you inherit from your mom or dad.
And remember that alleles may be dominant, or the strong form of the gene, or recessive, which would be your weak form of the gene.
All right, guys. We hope you did enjoy your notes. Remember, your open note test is Wednesday. Okay. May 17th. No, May 16th, which is Wednesday, because today is the 10th, right? It's Thursday.
Today's the 9th.
Oh, today's the 9th?
Yes.
Oh, tomorrow's the 9th. Oh, so I messed that up.
So
Sorry.
it's the 15th.
So it is the 15th, which is okay. It'll be Wednesday, May 15th. And be ready for the open note quiz. Have a great evening.
Bye.